After spending 6 days in Death Valley, it was time to move on to a different location. Despite the moments of frustration early in the trip, I thoroughly enjoyed my time and I generally had a good feeling about the work I produced. I learned so much from this experience, and though it was difficult at times, I gained some valuable skills that will help on future trips. I photographed 9 different subjects over the course of 6 days, and though no one photo in particular stood out to me, I know there must be something buried deep within that pile of film. I look forward to returning next winter with a new list of locations to explore. I started my drive to Zion National Park well before sunrise. These long drives feel faster that way, but there's another benefit as well. It's easier to say goodbye to a location I love when the landscape is shrouded under a veil of darkness. My early start will allow me to reach Zion by mid-morning. This will give me an opportunity to grab a campsite and immediately start scouting for new subjects. Today's forecast calls for cloudless skies with freezing overnight temperatures. Winter has become my favorite season to visit Zion. Thanks to the reduced crowds, the shuttle system is no longer in service, and it's possible to drive a private vehicle into the main canyon. The photographic opportunities are much different than in the fall. I love the look of the winter cottonwoods and how their form is revealed without the distraction of the colorful foliage. The decidedly somber mood of the winter landscape feels more poetic, and one of my goals this year is to photograph some beautiful ice abstracts. Rain and snowmelt from passing winter storms create ephemeral streams in Zion's otherwise dry washes. This leads to the formation of shallow pools of standing water. Freezing overnight temperatures cause the surface of these shallow pools to freeze, and the remaining water slowly seeps into the sandy wash. This leaves behind fantastic shelves of hanging ice, rich with patterns and textures and continuously shaped by the cycles of melting and refreezing. They're a fantastic subject to work with, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can find. Today also happens to be Super Bowl Sunday, and I have a feeling I won't have any difficulty finding a campsite. After a 5-hour drive, I was excited to be in Zion, and I look forward to what I would find in the days to come. So I left Death Valley pretty early this morning. It's a little after 4 a.m. and drove over here to Zion. And there's something so very special about driving here to Zion and just seeing those towering cliffs and the way the light hits them, and just having all the associations of the past times I've been here and all the cool subjects I found. And it really is a very special place. And there are absolutely blue skies right now. Not a single cloud out there. So it's hard to imagine that tomorrow there's a 50% chance of snow. And who knows if that'll happen, but I wouldn't mind if there's a little bit of precipitation to bring some water down in these washes, because there's going to be some really cold temperatures after the storm goes through, which might lead to some cool ice. And some of you might recognize the area back behind me there. It's a scene I photographed in the fall. Didn't turn out so great. And then right here, this scene, that one did really turn out quite nice. There were some really colorful leaves on those trees, the rocks here in the foreground, some nice reflected light. That was a really cool scene. I always enjoy heading back to these areas to see how they change with time. I'm gonna spend some time scouting, see if I can find anything that catches my eye, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with the weather tomorrow, but I love being in Zion. I've been wandering around for maybe an hour or so, and I've been looking for little pools of frozen water, because you get some really interesting patterns and textures and stuff going on, especially when combined with all the interesting rocks down here in the washes. So a good example is like this area back behind me here. And what happens is you'll have these pools of water, and then overnight the top layer will freeze, but the bottom layer is still liquid water. And I think some of that water starts to drain down into the sand, and it just leaves this shelf of ice. And as it freezes and refreezes, you get these really cool patterns and stuff as the water level drops. So You get some really cool patterns and textures, and this one I really can't find a good composition with. But you'll find some areas where you have this rock and you have these really wild concentric rings and these interesting lines all through it. Especially when some of the leaves fall in it and then they just kind of refreeze in the ice, and it's really fascinating stuff. And it's definitely back in some of the deeper recesses that you'll find most of this stuff. And there's still a lot. I mean, it's about like midday right now. So I still got a lot of time to look around, and it'd be cool if I can find something. But if we do get some snow or at least some rain, then you'll have these washes just kind of get revamped. New pools of water, new ice, so there'll be some more possibilities after the storm goes through. But I'll see if I can find some more ice. Well, it's a little after 2 o'clock right now, and I found a really cool scene. So there's some ice back here, there's some leaves that fell from the trees, and I set up a composition showing the leaf and then all the surrounding patterns and stuff around it. Here's the tricky thing. There's gonna be about an hour until that area falls into direct shade, and it's just having the sun beat down on it right now. And I'm really, really hoping that that ice doesn't melt and collapse. It looks like it's pretty thick, but it's really hard to judge on that. I'm really hoping that this ice holds out for the next hour or so, because once it's in direct shade, then we have some nice calm light on it, because the light's gonna be coming from all the sunlight's bouncing off all this stuff here nearby. So you get this reflected light on the scene. So I'm really hoping this one works out. Got my fingers crossed. This definitely is a really cool scene. So I decided to improvise a little bit, and I have my shadow here covering the whole area of ice I'd like to photograph. Just trying to soften the effect of the sun a little bit, because I'm hearing it creak around a little bit, and it would certainly be nice if at the very last minute it doesn't just collapse, because I've seen that happen before. But I think it's thick enough that it'll do the job. We got another 20 minutes or so, and then it should be in shade. All right, so the ice has survived the sunlight, and now it's time to make an exposure. It's going to be about 4 seconds at f32, and this is with Velvia 50. All right, there's the dark slide. And 4 seconds. Just like that. Now the cool thing is that there's like perfect rocks here to stand on. Otherwise, this would be really tricky. I say that as I almost fall. That feels really good. That's great. I think I'm gonna do some Provia as well, just so I have a comparison between each of the film stocks. I've been preferring Provia a lot more lately, but this scene, reflected light, relatively low contrast, Velvia will do quite well with this, but let's do some Provia as well. Well, I'm really glad that worked out. One of the things I've learned through the years is that if you see great conditions, and if something looks really good, you should really take that as an opportunity to work with it right then and there. It'd be really easy for me to say, hey, I'm going to come back to that scene tomorrow morning, but chances are it would have looked different. And now that I know that the sun hitting that ice is really what made it look so glassy and nice. That rhymes. I did not intend for that to rhyme. But in the morning it would have been really, probably a lot more like this. Just more of a frosted sort of ice. So yeah, that worked out well. I'm glad the conditions were really, really nice. And let's go see what else I could find. I spent the rest of the evening scouting the washes for more ice. And although there are some pockets of it here and there, none of it compared to the small section of ice I photographed that afternoon. It felt great to find such a promising subject, and I knew for the first time on this trip that I truly had something special. Even so, I tried not to think too much of the photo. The more satisfied I am with my own work, the less of an initiative I have to find more subjects. I photographed this scene on both Fuji ProVia 100F, as seen on the right, and Velvia 50, as seen on the left. I prefer the richer color and contrast of Velvia, though the color representation's a bit more accurate on ProVia. I wanted something between the two, so I scanned the sheet of Velvia and reduced the magenta cast. The film was drum scanned at over 300 megapixels by my friend Michael Strickland, and the detail up close is absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to sharing the rest of my trip. If you enjoy this ad-free and clickbait-free content and want to help me live my dream, a voluntary contribution of just $24 a year helps keep my gas tank full and my film freezer stocked. For more information on how to support me and my work, please visit the donation section of my website at benhorn.com/donate. I also have prints and my portfolio box set available on my website. You can find a direct link down below in the show notes. Thanks in advance for your support.